Welcome to Books in Sum, your go-to for bite-sized book summaries.
The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. These book bites aim to highlight the aspects of human nature that go overlooked or are under-discussed and make sure that we understand just how influential they can be. We are all complex individuals, but there are parts of the human experience that touch us all. These book bites include why it's better to have a far-sighted perspective, why you should always maintain a reality group, and why it's beneficial to keep death in mind. Pericles, a well-respected statesman in Athens around the 5th century BC, was able to convince leaders to show restraint and not engage in all-out war, but his wisdom didn't prevail when Athens was struck by the plague and Pericles died. The secret to Pericles' wisdom was patience, which is what we still need to rely on to curb our irrational decisions. When making decisions, it is important to consider all the possible biases influencing the decision, such as confirmation bias, conviction bias, appearance bias, and group bias. It is also important to be skeptical, analytical, and curious about differing viewpoints, and to balance thinking with emotions. Finally, we should judge character by actions, not appearances, as human nature also carries with it the need for attention and self-absorption. Deep narcissism can develop for two reasons. Either the parent was too involved, preventing the establishment of an individual identity, or the parent didn't give the child any attention, creating a sense of abandonment. This can lead to low self-esteem and feelings of insecurity, so deep narcissists try to cope with their broken sense of self through behavior patterns that include jealousy, attention-seeking, and self-centeredness. Narcissism is often associated with self-love, but it is actually a lack of empathy. To gain a healthier level of narcissism, one of the best ways to do this is to create a sense of self that you can love. Empathy is the ability to sense what others are going through, and it can help us recognize people's true character and turn ourselves into a person of superior character. We should strive to be of superior character and use covetous behavior to our advantage, and be honest and admit that our characteristics are part of human nature and are nothing to be ashamed of. For example, a hyperperfectionist who feels the need to control everything and can't delegate tasks shouldn't deny it and put herself into a position of power. The most important details in this book are that envy is a natural part of human nature, and that we can use the traits of elusiveness to make ourselves more appealing to others. It is important to recognize the tendency to neglect the big picture in favor of immediate concerns, and to adopt a far-sighted perspective when making decisions. It is also important to take a step back when making decisions and calmly consider the problem at hand, what your options are and what the consequences are likely to be. Finally, it is important to remember that today's problems are likely the consequence of past actions. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing to do, and one of the best techniques for managing human nature is to make someone agree with our plan as though it was their idea. Another strategy is to deal with people's natural defensiveness by showing appreciation of the other person, validating their individuality and intelligence, and playing to their natural stubbornness. Finally, one of the main contributors to self-sabotage is a negative attitude, which can be changed by employing a positive attitude and avoiding repression. This is exemplified by the life of legendary playwright Anton Chekhov, who was forced to flee to Moscow due to his father's bad business sense. Anton Chekhov had a remarkable sense of empathy that enabled him to pity his father rather than be angry with him. This gave him the opportunity to see them in a new perspective, and when he felt forgiveness for his father, he felt liberated from anger. Negative emotions must be let go, as they can lead to destructive behavior. Michael Eisner's career is an example of this, as he oversaw the release of 15 hit movies and strategically used the company's back catalog in the home video market. Everyone is prone to feelings of grandeur, which should be brought down to reality. Michael Eisner was a TV and film executive who focused his attention on theme parks and building Euro Disney in France. In 1994, he fired his underling Jeffrey Katzenberg and instead orchestrated Disney's own internet portal called Go. This led to Katzenberg successfully suing Disney for $280 million in unpaid bonus, and Pixar CEO Steve Jobs saying he would refuse to work with Disney ever again. Finally, with Disney's stock prices dwindling, Eisner was voted out by board members in 2005. Eisner had a keen grasp on the tastes of U.S. audiences, but showed little understanding for the tastes of Europeans or what people want in an internet service. To prevent gender repression and aimlessness, it is important to be aware of contributing factors and your own strengths, limits, and weaknesses. Caterina Sforza was born into a powerful dynasty in Milan, Italy, giving her the chance to pursue whatever interests she had. She became a strong figure who fascinated both the men and women of Milan. Men and women tend to think of the world in different ways, and embracing this duality can improve relationships, problem solving, creativity, and confidence. It is also important to get closer to a sense of higher purpose, as we can trace back our higher purpose to a moment in childhood. Finally, it is important to recognize the tendency to conform to group mentality and feel a false sense of entitlement when we are part of a group. The revolution was intended to be a rebellion against elitists and their unfair hierarchies, but in a group mentality, any nuanced thinking went out the window. To avoid such things from happening, we should all be part of what the author calls a reality group. This structure focuses on the beneficial aspects of teamwork and emphasizes that people can accomplish great things when they cooperate. Another unpleasant aspect of human nature is entitlement, and one monarch in particular can teach us how to earn it. Queen Elizabeth I declined her income and used that money to help the people of England, and she only made decisions she believed were in the best interest of her people. Finally, all human beings are aggressive by nature, but controlled aggression can be put to good use. In the mid-19th century, businessman Morris Clark met an unassuming guy who came from a troubled background. Rockefeller's father had been a notorious con man who would often take off suddenly, leaving his family with barely enough money to keep from starving. Rockefeller's childhood left him with an obsession for accumulating money and being in control of an orderly and predictable environment. He was an aggressive businessman, but he was a sophisticated aggressor who knew how to read people's motivations and recognize what people would accept in order to get what he wanted. We all have some level of aggression in us, and we can use it to fuel ambitions and realize goals. Recognizing where the aggression comes from can help us defeat an aggressor, and there are few things in life more rewarding than outwitting a bully. We are all influenced by generational values and can benefit from embracing the fact of death. Ibn Khaldun suggested that generations run in a cycle of 4 different types, with a revolutionary generation bringing about great change followed by a generation of order and stability. The 3rd generation focuses on pragmatism and comfort, while the 4th generation is one of inquiry and cynicism. The trends in this pattern aren't set in stone, but we can see how each generation is influenced and responds to the one that came before it. One of the biggest influences on our decisions is our sense of mortality, which can serve as a motivator for leading a productive and vibrant life. Understanding how generational values influence decision-making is more important than ever, as the world is highly connected and it is likely that trends will span the globe in future generations. Flannery O'Connor and Fyodor Dostoevsky had similar reactions to their near-death experiences. The key message in these book bites is that human nature is full of laws that influence our day-to-day lives, such as irrationality, narcissism, envy, short-sightedness, aggression, and the denial of death. Understanding human nature can help us recognize when emotions are leading to irrational decisions, or when our opinions are too influenced by groups and organizations. Actionable advice include being motivated by the sublime, taking a moment to consider all that happened in order for life to occur on this planet, and committing to doing something beautiful to honor this remarkable gift. Life is a wondrous thing and should never lose sight of this.
We hope you found this summary helpful in your listening journey. If you're interested in diving deeper into the topic or getting your hands on the whole book, be sure to check the description below where we've included links to the book and other related products that may be useful to you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on our latest book summaries, and feel free to leave a comment with any suggestions or requests for books you'd like us to cover. Thanks again for tuning in, and happy listening.